Good morning. My name is Hank Thenard, and we, the service clubs of this community and Lake Havasu City, have united to show support for our heroes fighting terrorism and to honor those heroes who died on that fateful day. We have built this memorial to show our support for them. We're here today to rededicate our memorial. May we start by standing and begin with a prayer by Chaplain Sisto Sandoval. Thanks, Sisto.
Lord, you are the compassionate one, whose loving care extends to the entire world. We remember this day your children of many nations and many faiths, whose lives were cut short by the fierce flames of anger and hate. Console those who continue to suffer and grieve, and give them comfort and hope as they look to the future. Lord, out of what we have endured, give us the grace to examine our relationship with those who perceive us as the enemy, and show our leaders the way to use our powers to serve the good of all, for the healing of all the nations. Lord, protect our men and women who serve in the armed forces, our police and fire personnel, and those who assist in any way towards the needs of the people. We ask this through Jesus Christ our Lord, who in reconciling love was lifted up from heaven, that he might draw all things to himself. Amen.
May we have a moment of silence to honor our heroes who gave all for our freedom. Please remain standing for the presenting of the colors by the Honor Guards of the Marine Corps League, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, the Fire Department, and the Police Department.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I call your attention to the American flag and the POWMIA flag. They are being raised by veterans Ace Johnson, who was shot down over Germany in World War II, where he was kept as a guest of the German government for the remainder of the war, and Frank Emery of VFW Post 9401. Will the Marine Corps League now post the colors? Ladies and gentlemen, the military moms will now lead us in pledging allegiance to the greatest flag that the world has ever known. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the raising of the flags. Now, raising the flag of Arizona, Jan Swift. Now raising the flag of New York with the 9/11 flag are Carol and Bob Hawley, and raising the Pennsylvania flag is Rick Fulmer. Now raising the flag of the United States Army, Staff Sergeant Hudson. raising the flag of the United States Marine Corps, PFC Palmer. Now, raising the flag of the United States Navy, Petty Officer Second Class Stankiewicz. Raising the U.S. Air Force flag, Airman First Class Holler. Raising the U.S. Coast Guard flag, Al Morelli. Now, raising our fire and police department flags, Engineer Mark Martz and firefighter Nick Hovdahl, and police officers Mike Thornhill and Frank Hayden.
Be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
Would the flag raisers please lower the flags to half-mast? I'd like to thank all of our volunteers, flag raisers today, and give special thanks to our active duty military. Thank you very much. Please be seated. And now I'd like to introduce Battalion Chief Jason Stello, Fire Department, and recently retired engineer Tim Ryan with the Lake Havasu City Fire Department. They will perform the firefighters' bell tolling ceremony.
Good morning, and thank everybody for being here today. Today, September 11th, 2014, is a day to remember and honor all of the 2,996 individuals that perished in the act of terror against the United States this very day in 2001. The Lake Havasu Fire Service would like to especially honor all military service members who have sacrificed before and after this act of war in keeping our citizens of the United States of America safe while protecting our freedoms. Since 2001, the United States Fire Service has lost 1,761 members working to protect life and property in the United States. The men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are forced to continually change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our tasks, keeping you, our customers, safe. Our methods may change, but our goals remain the same: to save lives and to protect property through multi-hazard fire and medical response. This is what we do. This is our chosen profession. This is the tradition of a firefighter. The fire service of today is ever-changing, but is steeped in traditions 200 years old, some of which are how we honor the past. One such tradition is the sounding of the bell, which we'll bring to you now. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizen. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of the call. When a firefighter had died, it was the mournful toll of that bell that solemnly announced the comrade's passing. We utilize these traditions and symbols to reflect honor and respect for those who have given so much and who have served so well, to symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their duty. A special signal of 3 rings, 3 times each, represents the end of our comrades' duties and that they will be returning to quarters. And so, to those who have selflessly devoted their lives for the good of their fellow man, their task completed, their duties well done, to our comrades, their last alarm. They're going home.
On September 11th, 2001, at approximately 8:45 a.m. New York time, American Airlines Flight number 11 was deliberately crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. On September 11th, 2001, at approximately 9:03 a.m. New York time, United Airlines Flight 175 was deliberately crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. On September 11th, 2001, at approximately 9:43 a.m. Eastern Time, American Flight 77 was deliberately crashed into our Pentagon building. On September 11th, 2001, at approximately 10 a.m. Eastern Time, United Airlines Flight 93 was deliberately crashed into a field about 80 miles south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We would now like to perform a new ceremony this year, the flag folding ceremony, and it will now be performed by Marine Corps League members Charlie Marquez, Frank Blaine, Jack Howe, Jimmy Kessinger, Dan Arnado, and it will be narrated by DAV Chapter 27 Commander Bud Watts.
Thank you for coming. May God bless those that we honor here today. The flag folding ceremony is based on the same religious principles on which our country was originally founded. The portion of the flag donating honor is the canton of blue, containing the stars representing the states our veterans served in uniform. The canted field of blue dresses from left to right and is inverted when draped as a pall on a casket of a veteran who has served our country in uniform. In the Armed Forces of the United States, at the ceremony of retreat, the flag is lowered, folded in a triangle fold, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's honored dead. The next morning, it is brought out and at the ceremony of reveille, run aloft as a symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in the eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans departing our ranks who gave a portion of life for the defense of our country to attain a peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature, for as American citizens trusting in God, it is to Him we turn in times of peace as well as in times of war for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country, for in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country, in dealing with other countries, may she always be right, but it's still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all her enemies, whether they be found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day, and to honor Mother, for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood, for it has been through their faith, love, loyalty, and devotion that the character of the men and women who have made this country great have been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to Father, for He too has given His sons and daughters for the defense of our country since they were first born. The 11th fold, in the eyes of a Hebrew citizen, represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold, in the eyes of a Christian citizen, represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God the Father, the Son, and Holy Ghost. The 13th fold is accomplished when the flag is completely folded. The stars are uppermost, reminding us of our motto, "In God we trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today. Ladies and gentlemen, you now know the true meaning of the folding of our national flag.
Would Gold Star mothers Lori Dicey and Debbie Tennell please do us the honor of placing our wreath at the memorial?
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. 'Twas blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce as our first speaker today our city's greatest cheerleader, Mayor Mark Nexon.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. 13 years have passed, and much has changed. But one thing that will not change is our resolve to never forget those that lost their lives in the attacks on the World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and those on United Flight 93 who perished in Pennsylvania. There were nearly 3,000 precious lives lost. These ceremonies are not only a remembrance of the past, but a mark of respect for those that lost their lives and to those they left behind. 13 years of memories have not just been lost, but were stolen from the families of the victims. Before I continue, I also want to recognize two people, two citizens of Lake Havasu City that we lost this year. They were wonderful people and were instrumental in the preparation and conduct of this annual ceremony. Chris Weimer spent many hours over the years preparing, organizing, and caring about this event. Chris was a Navy veteran and was an active member of the American Legion. She met her husband, Dave, in the Navy. Chris will be sorely missed by all who knew her. Our hearts, thoughts, and prayers go out to Dave and his family. We also lost our Master of Ceremonies, Robert Pouchet, better known to all of us as Pooch. He was one of the original organizers of this Remembrance Day ceremony. Pooch was an exalted ruler for the Elks at the Lodge, and Pooch was a true patriot. He, like Chris, was a Navy veteran. If you met Pooch, you could not help but like him, as he was a pleasure to be around. We will never forget Chris or Pooch. The victims of 9/11 were innocent bystanders of a horrifying act by terrorists who continue to attempt to crush our democratic way of life. Terrorists who continue to challenge the power of our freedom. Shortly after September 11th, 2001, David Letterman when he came back on the air, referred to this act as an act done by people in the name of religious fervor. As he said, not in 1,000 years will that ever make sense. But we are also here today to recognize the more than 400 firefighters, paramedics, and policemen who responded to this tragedy without regard to their own safety or lives. While all of us were deeply saddened on that day, we also saw the greatness of America. We witnessed our public safety personnel enter buildings to save the lives of others, all the while knowing they may never see their own loved ones again. The scene is best described by the son of a Lake Havasu City resident who was in the World Trade Center. He was attempting to exit through the stairwells when he states, "As we descend, we are also making a path for firefighters to ascend." A group of 12 pass us. We probably made way for them to die. Americans aboard Flight 93 also exhibited extraordinary acts of courage after the plane was hijacked by terrorists. They embodied the spirit of the United States as they saved so many other Americans from certain tragedy. The courageous acts of these heroes cost them their own lives. All of the victims of 9/11 deserve our respect and prayers this morning, but also every morning. On May 21st of this year, the National September 11 Museum opened. It took over 8 years to complete, and it is a lasting reminder to the events of that day and to those that lost their lives and their families. It has been constructed in the very space that the Twin Towers stood so proudly before the attacks. Let us hope that this museum will help us to never forget. And let us not also forget that we were attacked. We were attacked by an enemy that has no regard for human life. These are people that to this day send their children on suicide attacks and are so barbaric that they behead their kidnapped prisoners. As time has passed, some have questioned our involvement in the Middle East or our pursuit of terrorists. But let the words of a man who was there remind those with doubts of why we must protect ourselves. He says, "Let the world condemn us. I don't particularly care. I just want to be safe from animals like those who are quietly or not so quietly dancing at the news. I want it to end. I want the world to fear the United States retribution so intense that this never, ever happens again." And while over the years we have destroyed the leadership of Al-Qaeda, new and more organized and violent groups have emerged known as ISIS and ISIL. ISIS had at one time close links to Al-Qaeda, but ties were supposedly cut due to the brutality of ISIS. That should give you some idea of what we're dealing with today. They are extremists and they are extremely anti-Western. We must never forget. If we forget or let our guard down, I fear of another 9/11. We must remain vigilant. 9 days after the attacks, President Bush said, "We are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom." Our grief has turned to anger and anger to resolution. Whether we bring our enemies to justice or bring justice to our enemies, justice will be done. In light of the recent barbaric acts on Americans, those words ring incredibly true today. So again, I ask you to remember in your prayers those who lost their lives on September 11, 2001. It has been said that time heals all wounds, but after 13 years, time has not yet dulled the painful memories of that day. Our prayers are also with the brave men and women who are engaged in battle, and we thank them for their service and commitment to our country. We shall never forget. God bless our troops. God bless the souls of 9/11, and God bless America.
Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce a new speaker to this podium. He is a past National Achievement Award winner from the Council of Education, a Vietnam vet, an Army Ranger, the recipient of 3 Purple Hearts, and the director of the Veterans Center here in Lake Havasu. Please welcome Joe Little.
Thank you. Thank you for the privilege of being able to be here to speak today. Many things go through my mind. I recall being part of a community program while I was in Phoenix. And every morning I had to go ahead and give a coach call at 5:30 in the morning. And I had my brand new Sony TV timer set up at 5:15 so I could make my coach call. And if I was late for my coach call, it cost me $100. Needless to say, I woke up. That morning, I was on my coach call, and my coach asked me, "Have you watched the news yet?" It's this strange thing. My the timer didn't come on. And she told me my coach call was over with. I need to go ahead and watch TV. This is unusual. As I turned it on, I would look at this scenario and I said, whoa, some idiot made a mistake. Then the next slide come in, and I felt the chills go up and down the back of my spine, my arms, and I wondered, what the hell is going on? I haven't felt that feeling since I was overseas in Vietnam. It's a scary thing. I grew up in New York. Maybe Sony probably would tell you I didn't grow up in New York because I grew up in Buffalo area. It's not part of New York. However, I wear my Yankee tie, sitting there at the ball game with my grandfather, 1961, I believe it was, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, Slugfest. Had a good friend of mine, Dennis, I grew up with. We used to go to Canada every year for summer vacations on Lake Erie. I moved away because I had an attachment thing with my parents because they went and moved to Arizona from New York, and so I had to go with them at age 11. Then I came back up there again in New York because I had a very special relationship with my grandmother. And I also had a very special relationship about going to Yankee games with my grandfather. Significant things that took place that day. My daughter called me up, worried. I guess she just learned that her dad fought in the war also. And she was concerned that I was going to be going back again. Needless to say, I wanted to. I was angry, hurt, sad. Someone violated my backyard. My backyard happened to be in 1968 or 66, watching the earth movers dig this big, huge hole in the ground. What the heck is this? And Dennis said, oh, that's that big thing that no one's going to stay up on the top floors. 1968, I'm back there, going to another Yankee game. No, I was at 67 back in another Yankee game, and then I'm sitting there talking with Dennis. He met me over at my grandmother's. We haven't seen each other for many years. And Dennis decided it was time for us to talk. I was on my way to Vietnam, and he was on his way to Canada. That's the last time we spoke. Several years later, June 2011, Phoenix Fire Department was invited over there in New York Fire Department to play softball. I was the bench warmer. But they had one hell of a great game. And Phoenix Fire brought the bat back. And after that, 9/11. Being grounded, being FEMA qualified, critical incident debriefer, and no place to go. I got my name put on the manifest to go to New York. They pulled me off the manifest because I was from New York. That was correct move on their part because I don't think I'd been working like I was supposed to have. Then you go to DC. You see the nursery in the Pentagon being all tore apart. And you see the bins as they're all color-coded as they process material as they take the Pentagon apart. And another grateful and cheerful moment I had is when I listened to the news that night and the Pentagon was still open. I says, "Take that, you son of a bitch." Because to me, it was something that to be said, we're still open. You didn't close us. We're here. We came together, we gathered. I came together again a year and a half later. My friend Dennis was at that ball game. He recognized me, I didn't see him. He came back from Canada and joined the military. As his wife wrote me the letter saying, he always looked up to me and the words that he felt when we departed. And I went overseas and he went to Canada. Made him come up back across the bridge. And he worked for the fire department. And he was involved as the North Tower came down. His wife asked me to read something I wrote a long time ago, and it's for my brothers that I had in Vietnam. It's called Farewell. Rest, my man, you've earned a right. I sing the glory of cardinal man while you've risen to touch the sky. I have felt the torment of my soul, probably like those you had left behind, as your name was etched in granite. You captured my trust, my friendship, my love, and now my anger, as you have with others with your magical blend of steel and velvet. I have felt your hunger to learn ways of survival as you tucked yourself under my armor of knowledge while we smiled at our curious ways. I knew you would survive the lot man has dealt us. I nursed you through the course of manhood when you saw and felt your first man fall by your hand. Did I not hold you while we both cried? Now I weep alone. I thought I was the one waiting. I wait no more, for your name was etched in granite. I did not know, but you knew someday I would be by. I wasn't there to hold you in my arms. I wasn't there to say goodbye. I wasn't there to dress you in civilian charms. I wasn't there to say thank you for sharing your life as it was a part of mine. Farewell, my friend. Love is Cobra.
Thank you, Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, every year we're blessed with the presence of the Lake Havasu City Thunderbolt Middle School Choir. And if they haven't wilted because of all the sun, They're now going to entertain us with their rendition of Proud to Be an American. I'd like to take this opportunity to read a letter from our United States Senator Jeff Flake. Dear members of the committee and attendees, I regret that I could not be in attendance for the September 11th memorial ceremony. On the 13th anniversary of September 11th, 2001, we remember those taken from us and renew our pledge to never forget them, as well as all those who continue to put themselves in harm's way to protect the freedoms that we enjoy. Sincerely, Jeff Flake, United States Senator. As you can see behind me, there are many dignitaries in attendance, and it would be silly not to recognize them, and I'm going to do that right now. However, please hold your applause until the end of the list, because it is a significant list. And we, first of all, thank all of them for being here. Mayor Mark Nexon is here. Senator Flake's Representative Chelsea Lett. State Representative Sonny Borelli. County Supervisor Buster Johnson. County Recorder Carol Meyer. Vice Mayor Don Callahan. Council Mayors Donna Brister, Jenny Koch, David McCatlin, and Dean Barlow. City Manager Charlie Cassens. Judge Kelali. Chemehuevi Vice Chairman Glenn Lodge, VFW Commander Joan McDermott, VFW Auxiliary Darlene Salazar, American Legion Jack Van Meter, American Legion Auxiliary Jill Richelieu, Marine Corps, Kim McCoy, DAV Commander Bud Watts, Daughters of the American Revolution, Monique Kerr, Elks, Denny Dunkirk, Elkettes, Kay Wadowiak, Eagles, Bill Earl, past President Dean Beard, Eagle Riders, Kathy Kimmick, President, Governor of the Moose, Robert Hollabaugh, Police Captain Richie Sloma, Lake Havasu City Division Chief Joe Davis, Desert Hills Chief Bill Weber, and firefighters and police department members on my left. Thank you all for being here today. We also want to thank all the sponsors and volunteers who so generously gave their time and much work in making this ceremony a success. And thanks to Fritz and Frida, who so generously donated their time and sound equipment for us. I now call your attention to our rifle team for our rifle salute. Our riflemen are commanded by Richard Wagner of the Marine Corps League. The riflemen are Bob Hawley and Todd Baldwin from the American Legion Post 81, Russell Mascari from the Marine Corps League, Fred Mohan and Mike Gall from the VFW Post 9401, Steve Woodson and Lionel Reed from the 82nd Airborne Association.
Half right, hey! Port arm! Ready! Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Half well, hey! Present arm!
I thank all of you who are in attendance today. We must never forget these events, which drastically changed how we, as free Americans, live our lives. This program is now concluded.